Hello, my name is Ira Smith, and I am a bankruptcy trustee in Toronto. First of all, I hope that you and your family are safe and healthy. I want to let you know that Ira SmithTrustee and Receiver Inc. is open for business. We are operating fully. Both myself and Brandon Smith are available to answer any questions that you may have. We are doing all consultations and filings by telephone, conference call, and video conference. I hope you enjoy this Brandon's blog. There's a lot of confusion out there about when taxes are due in Canada in 2019. Brandon wrote this blog and I wanted to describe it to you. Now I do have some notes, so I will be looking down from time to time. For the last couple of months, and now is the time of year when we see all the advertisements for income tax preparation services. Of course, two parts to every income tax season. There's the preparing and the filing of the returns, and then there's the actual paying for any amount you owe or getting your refund for any balance due back to you. In his blog, Brandon discusses both when personal and corporate income tax filings are due for 2019 and when payment is due. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, the Government of Canada has extended the dates for both filing and paying. So for personal income tax, the deadline for people to file their returns has been extended from April 30th to June 1, 2020. The due date for any amounts owing has been extended to September 1, 2020. This includes the balance owing on your 2019 income tax return and any installment payments that you might have to make towards the 2020 income tax year on June 15, 2020. Self-employed people. For individuals carrying on a business either as a sole proprietorship or an unincorporated partnership, the filing deadline is the same as it was before, June 15, 2020. The payment deadline has been extended from April 30th to September 1st, 2020. Again, any amounts owing for the 2019 year or any installment payment due on June 15 has been extended to September 1. Companies. June 1st, 2020 is now the filing date due for all corporations that would have otherwise have had to have their filing due between March 18 and June 1, 2020. The payment date for the fiscal tax year that you were filing for in that period is September 1, 2020. This includes balances and installments under Part 1 of the Canadian Income Tax Act due on or after March 18 and before September 1, 2020. Trusts. The filing for the current tax year, including the T3 information return, is extended to May 1, 2020. The new filing date for all trusts that would otherwise have a filing due in April or May is extended to June 1, 2020. Payment for the current tax obligation year is now the same September 1, 2020. This applies to income tax obligations and installments due on or after March 18 and before September 1, 2020. We've seen a lot of chatter about international students. There's a lot of misinformation out there as to how these extensions affect international students. The real issue is, do international students even have to file Canadian income tax returns? In some cases, they don't even qualify for tax credits or refunds. The rules are relatively simple. If you are employed in Canada, being an international student but having a job in Canada, or if you could be considered a resident in Canada, either because you have a job, you have a bank account in Canada, you own or rent property in Canada, you live in Canada, family or dependents, you would be considered a resident for tax purposes and then would have to file a Canadian income tax return. In that case, for international students, the timelines that I've already talked about for filing personal income tax return and paying any balance owing is what would be applicable. As I mentioned before, that's the first part, preparing and filing the tax return. What about paying the taxes owing listed on the return and any back taxes that you might owe? Given this whole pandemic and people self-quarantining and being laid off work, you may not have the money to pay the current income tax liability or any back taxes that are owing. Once things get back to normal, CRA will want to enter into a payment program with you. They will ask you for a series of post-dated checks to pay off all or a portion of your income tax liability, and they will negotiate with you to get the best deal possible. They will then ask you for, say, a year's worth of post-dated checks, and you'll provide it to them. Better make sure that each check clears the bank. When the year is over, if your tax liability isn't paid off in full, or even worse, if one of your checks don't clear the bank because of insufficient funds, you will then get a different kind of call from the tax collector. And they won't be willing to give you any slack. They'll want to know about all your bank accounts. They already know where you work. Then they will start out to go to garnishing your wages and garnishing your bank account. This will stop you from being able to live. You won't be able to pay rent. You won't be able to pay the mortgage. You won't be able to buy food. Your whole life will be shut down. If it's your corporation we're talking about, they're going to ask you for not only a list of bank accounts, they're going to want to see a list of accounts receivable for your business. If you provide it to them, what they are going to do is they will garnish your bank accounts, your corporate accounts, and they will garnish notices, third-party demands to all your customers to intercept the receivables owing to your company. So you will not be able to collect any cash, you will not be able to operate your bank account, your company will be shut down. In either of those situations, there's only one thing left you can do. Don't walk, run to a licensed insolvency trustee. Explain the issues, explain the problems, get your no-cost consultation. By filing for what you read in the paper, here in the media, what's called bankruptcy protection, you will get a timeout. The CRA garnishments will no longer be effective, and you will have the necessary time in order to restructure your personal debt or your corporate debt so that you can go on living a productive life. Hope you have enjoyed this information and that you find it useful. As I mentioned, Ira SmithTrustee and Receiver Inc. is fully open for business. Both myself and Brandon Smith are available to answer any questions that you might have, anything that is bothering you. Do so by telephone consultation, conference call, and online video meetings. So if there is anything at all you have questions about this blog or anything else at all, either myself or Brandon an email or give us a phone call. We will be more than happy to spend the time with you answering any questions that you may have. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay well balanced.